I am Bipasha Biswas, a faculty member at the School of Social Work. When a crisis occurs, education can be severely disrupted. Children who go to school are the most impacted. There are many different types of crisis that can disrupt school. The crisis might be a personal one, such as a death in the family, which would impact the students in one family the most. It might be a group crisis, such as a school shooting, which would impact the entire school. Or it might be a community crisis in which something occurs that impacts everyone in that community. For example, a natural disaster such as an earthquake, flood, or a hurricane would be considered a community crisis. Each of these types of crises would directly impact children who go to school. If school is disrupted, children's lives change in big ways. When children are able to attend school, there are so many parts of children's lives that they don't need to worry about or think about. For example, when children are in school, they follow the same way to school each day. They sit in class and take part in organized tasks. They do homework after school. These activities are structured, organized by someone else, and scheduled, occur at predictable times. When children are in school, they don't need to make many of the decisions about their lives. These decisions have already been made for them, and they can simply follow the routine. Children can function on autopilot. When children are able to attend school, they don't need to think. They simply need to do. When there is a crisis, much that is familiar is lost. Familiar routines stop. Normal responsibilities change. It might feel to adults as if everything has changed. Adults may be in a state of shock too. In other words, they might be so traumatized that they cannot think and do what they need to do. If their children need to return to a routine to begin attending school again or to begin learning remotely at home, the adults in their family will want to help their children with this. They will feel themselves persuaded to do things again for their children. This can help the families, adults and children, begin to return to a more normal life. I can give an example from my work in Bhuj, India, where a terrible earthquake had destroyed many villages. There was no school for the younger school-age children. The adults had lost many loved ones to death. They had lost their land. They had lost their jobs. They were in a state of shock. I was part of a team of relief workers. The first thing that we did was to create temporary schools and find teachers who could provide safety to the children. Setting up schools was the first thing that we did because schooling is so important in a crisis to adults and children. Education involves roles and responsibilities. Students, teachers, and parents all have their roles to carry out with schooling. Education is a welcome reminder of the familiar in a time of crisis. It can give a feeling of stability. It can help people return to normal. Crisis disrupts life, and it may cause trauma. Schooling and activities related to learning can create a safe and supportive environment for students. It can help children to simply be students again and not have to think as much about the crisis. Every teacher should know how to respond in a crisis situation. They should know how to respond if the crisis causes trauma. Schools should be ready to help students with their mental health needs. Schools should also be flexible and understanding with students about deadlines and tests. Finally, schools and teachers can support students who experience trauma with crisis by following what we call the 4 R's. What are the 4 R's? Realize how common trauma is. Know that your students might have experienced trauma with a crisis. Recognize the impact of trauma on students. Notice when they're struggling. Respond with students with support and care. Be the caring person they need you to be. And finally, resist re-traumatizing students. This means avoid doing or saying anything that might cause students to relive a crisis or to have to think about what has traumatized them. I hope you can see just how important teachers and schools are in crisis and in creating safe places where students and their families can begin to heal from a crisis.